spellcasting in Dark Souls 3 is for nerds. You know, sorcerers think that they're so cool with their little magic staves, casting their little spells, but I have discovered an even better and even cooler way to wield staves. By just bonking the shit out of people with them. Who cares that it does 14 damage? Wait, 14 damage? Is it even possible to beat the game like that? First thing we gotta do is just get rid of everything. I'm not gonna need it, so why bother? Then we make our way to Gundyr, where we dispatch of him easily after hitting some clean parries. Read it? Let's go. First try. The next step is to do some tree skippage, which I get totally on the first try. Then we grab an early Estus upgrade and the Silver Serpent Ring for additional soul revenue. We then make our way through the high wall of Lothric and grab as many Titanite shards as we can so we can do as much damage as possible to the next boss. At Vordt, an interesting discovery is made. Staves have a weapon skill called Spell Buff, which temporarily boosts the damage of the spell's cast. However, this weapon skill also boosts the damage of the melee attack. This buff makes our damage go from 16 a swing to 21. Well, not entirely game-changing, yet more damage is more damage. And this is more of a take-what-you-get situation. After a few attempts, we managed to take down our first actual boss. Now we make our way to the Cursed Rotten Greatwood. Off. At our current state, this boss wasn't looking too doable. At least, not without losing my mind. To even pop the stomach, I had to hit it around 38 times. Additionally, with all the mobs around and all the trees' AoE attacks, it just made it a very, very time-consuming task. I mean, it took 13 minutes just to even get it to half health. So for now, we take the L and move in a different direction. And by a different direction, I kind of mean all over the place, so I'll just rapid fire off this next section. We go through the Road of Sacrifices and pick up any Titanite we find along the way, and then obtain an important upgrade for our character, the Heretic Staff. This offers better scaling and a moderate damage increase compared to our current staff, and while it's not astounding, it's the best we can do for now. I then get my ass beat by the Crystal Sage, and then decide to move on yet again. We then head to Fair & Keep to get, you can probably guess, more Titanite shards. After this, we backtrack a little bit more to pick up any Titanite along the way, and then we gamble with another man's life. Fuck him up, Sacred. I got 100 souls on you. Better beat his ass. Oh. Alright. After avenging our fallen onion, we get Flynn's ring and the Chloranthy ring. Do a little upgrading to our staff, and then make our way back to the Greatwood. This time around, Greatwood was a cakewalk. It still took a while, but like nowhere near as long as before. The Heretic Staff also has like a much longer hitbox in comparison to the Sorcerer's Staff, so hitting some of those sweet spots was a lot easier. The same goes for Crystal Sage as well. I mean, we were actually hitting for yellow, so the upgrades are actually paying off. Here's where things start to get a little rough. No! Why did I swing? Fuck. Oh, brother. Due to the long startup animation of the staff's attack and the end lag on it, I could only get a single swing in at a time before having to back off or dodge. And more importantly, can't backstab with staff. So I was stuck doing very little damage, very slowly. The main strat for the first phase was just to run around and let the Watchers fight each other. Sometimes I would get lucky, and I'll be able to 2v1 the boss with the Watcher that's friendly. For phase 2, the plan was still just mostly running away. but running away so I could bait attacks that were super easy to punish and guaranteed a free hit. We now get to the Catacombs of Carthus, where the most important part of this run happens. We get our biggest and most important damage spike, the Staff of Izalith. The stats on this thing blow our other staffs out of the water. At default value, its damage is almost as high as the Heretic Staff at +8. There's just one problem though. My OBS switched screens when I was recording for an hour, and so me getting this staff, as well as my fight with the old Demon King, and my fight with the Deacons of the Deep just looks like this. In order to make up for it, I will now perform an artist's rendition of how the battle occurred. With that cinematic masterpiece out of the way, it was time to deal with Wolnir, which was so easy because holy fuck, the damage on this staff is insane. Okay, one more. There we go. Making our way to Irithyl, we get invaded. And it was totally a fair fight, because it's not like I'm a naked guy with literally just a stick or anything.
That's what we're looking for.
What? I'm looking at him! That's bullshit. Then we pick up some Twinkling Titanite and try our hand at Pontiff. And well, it wasn't exactly pretty. It was gonna be easy. Okay, spoke way too soon, what the I don't know what it is about Pontiff, but just between every run I do of this game, I just completely forget how to fight him, and I have to relearn how to do it mid-run. Eventually though, I got my shit together. I was dodging when I needed to dodge, I was hitting him when I could, you know, stacking damage like crazy when he's summoning his clone, and after some struggle, I was able to get him. Oh, you're done, buddy. Let's go! I made that way harder on myself than I should have. Like, it's not even hard. I just had to rub my last 2 brain cells together. After getting some new drip and making a flawless run through Irithyl dungeon, I stumble upon the boss I haven't been looking forward to this whole run. Yhorm. However, it was not the struggle that I was really anticipating it to be. I had my staff fairly leveled up at this point, so it was actually doing really good damage. That, combined with the strategy I learned from my broken sword run, Yhorm was honestly a piece of cake. The strategy for Yhorm, for those that don't know, is that you can hit his right arm after certain attacks, and after hitting it enough time, it staggers him, giving you a couple of free headshots, which do a whole lot of damage. I went into Aldrich feeling pretty confident. I'm feeling so confident, I'm gonna first try this. Not even gonna get the shortcut. My 1 HP run has turned me into an Aldrich expert. Well, I mean, at least a comparison of how I used to be. I was dodging all the arrows, I was dodging all of her little dumbass little floating orb things. It was just a little too easy in my opinion, but that, you know, that's just me. See, first try. I said it. After an easy first try on Aldrich, I was feeling confident going into Dancer. Probably a little too confident, but what can you do? I haven't fully mentioned it yet, but the Irithyl staff is so goated. Like, this thing fucks hard. Not only does it do crazy high damage, but for a staff at least, but the range on it is insane. I mean, look at that thing. It's like twice as tall as my character. It's probably good for casting spells and stuff or whatever, but who gives a shit about that? At this point in the run, I decided that I was going to do all bosses in the base game, so I started to head over to Oceiros to get my cheeks clapped. I felt like I wasn't ready for this fight yet, so I decided to come back at a later time after I could level up some more and get my staff fully upgraded, which required me to get to the Grand Archives, which required me beating Dragon Slayer armor. DSA was another boss that was fairly easy. The gaps between most of his attacks allowed me to get at least 2 swings in on him, which was a good change of pace. With how slow the staff swings, most interactions with enemies usually only allow me to swing once, so this was nice. With DSA dealt with, I was finally able to get my final power spike by grabbing this hidden Titanite slab in the archives. After max upgrading my staff, it was time to fight the twins. With how much damage I was able to do with the staff at this point, I had no doubt in my mind that the rest of the bosses would be doable. I mean, it's basically like I'm using a real weapon. A very bad weapon, but it's still almost like using a normal weapon. At this point, I finally make my way back to Oceiros, and I got him on the first attempt. The only real issue I had with him was being able to dodge his charge attack. I don't often fight Oceiros, or really any of the side bosses, so I'm not experienced in the fight, so it was just a little sloppy at some points. Champ was an absolute breeze once I finally stopped trolling myself and actually started to parry at the right times. Yeah, I play Sekiro. How can you tell? Isn't that boss supposed to be hard or something? At this point in the run, I just became the ultimate staff wielder or something, because I absolutely walloped Soul of Cinder on my first try. I was, mostly, dodging everything I needed to dodge, and I was getting a swing in every time I could. Cheeky little bitch. And on. Easy. And with the Soul of Cinder beaten, another run was complete. Except for the fact that I forgot about Nameless King. And I really, really wish I forgot about Nameless King. In all of my hours of DS3, I've probably only fought this guy like 4 times. I don't know why I usually don't fight him, I just never do. I'm just like really unexperienced with fighting him. And because of that, I got my ass handed to me way too many times to even count. I got beat so bad, I was tempted to just end the video after Soul of Cinder and act like I forgot about him. But I was just a little too stubborn for that. I struggled with the first phase a little bit, but it was almost always the fault of the camera. I would be trying to swing at the neck of the dragon, the camera would get all twisted around in its body and block my vision, and then the Nameless King would just swing at me when I couldn't see him. Beyond that though, the rest of my problems were just straight up skill issues. In Phase 2, I didn't know the timing of his moveset, I would get too gritty and swing too many times and get punished, but worst of all, the little move he does where he summons down a lightning strike would almost always get me. There were several times where I had him at like 10% health, but I was also low and I was out of Estus, and then he would just be like, I'm gonna summon lightning, and then BAM! I was back at the bonfire. Regardless, after taking way too long to do it, I was able to pull through. I only need 1 Estus anyway. I'm locked in right now. I have to quit talking. Oh, he's gone. Let's fucking go, dude. Bitch made. Jeez, man. And now, for real this time, another run was complete.